Good morning, good morning. What up, Facebook? What's going on, IG? Hey, family. How's everybody doing? Look at that, right? Y'all see that? That's my blisters from the gym. My hands are so sore, but that's because I be in there getting it in. But that's not the point of the story this morning. Good morning, folks. I hope that everybody's doing well. Hope that you all are good this morning. It's your girl, Sheree Robin, and I am jumping on this wonderful Monday morning to keep you guys motivated, feeling strong. Yeah, my hands are sore because I'll be picking up stuff and putting it down, getting things done in the gym. But I really want to have this conversation with you, as always, as a Simon & Schuster bestselling author, editor, publisher, literary coach. I want to talk to you guys about your writing. Hello. Hi, mama. Good morning. And as you guys jump on, make sure that you say hello. Make sure you hit those likes and those shares. Invite all those folks that are aspiring authors into this conversation. Let people know that there's some good stuff that we're going to be discussing this morning. And I just want to enlighten you and give you some advice and some information when it comes to writing books and sharing your stories, right? So this came to my thoughts in looking at big manuscripts, right? Looking at manuscripts that are already complete. So those of you who do not know, myself and my team of editors, my literary bees, that's my BAE, my badass editors, we help people write books. So oftentimes we'll get manuscripts or people who will come in and they have something fresh from the ground. So we call them from the ground up. Hey, Theo. From the ground up. Right. So that means that you just have an idea, you want to write a book, but you're not sure how to get it started. You're trying to figure it out. Well, then we also have people who come in with the complete manuscript, which means that you've done all of the writing and now you need somebody to help you sharpen it, clean it up, make sense of your stuff, organize your ideas, that whole bit, right? So this conversation comes from that part of the spectrum, looking at the big manuscripts, people who have stuff that are that's already finished, well, what they believe is finished. And what I realize is that people, y'all, when it comes to writing, are trying to fit everything that they've ever experienced, everything that they know, every encounter that they've ever had in life into one manuscript, one central manuscript. People are, hey gang, that is what's happening, is that people, they are attempting to force all that they have, all the knowledge that they have into one manuscript. And that is detrimental to your success. That, what it looks like, what it shows up looking like inside of these manuscripts, it looks like disorder. It looks like confusion. It looks like repetition, right? It looks like you're saying the same things over and over again. It looks like chapter 2 looks like chapter 4 because those points aren't really clear. It looks like you have this overall theme that you're trying to talk about, and everything that you've experienced kind of all has some way, like some kind of connection to that, but the connections aren't really clear. It looks crazy, right? It looks crazy. And it reminds me of what happens when you're trying to travel, right? And I don't know about you guys, but I always, when I travel for long periods of time, I'm always trying to see just how much stuff I could fit into my suitcase. So I went away for about 3 weeks a couple months ago, and I'm like trying to get 15 outfits, 22 pair of shoes, everything that I can get inside of my suitcase. And I'm balling it up, rolling up the jeans, putting all the dresses together. Now I'm sitting, I got my 8-year-old sitting on top of the suitcase just so I can try to zip up the suitcase. But the reality of it is, it don't all fit. It does not all fit in the suitcase. And the same thing applies when it comes to your story, when it comes to what you're writing about. Like, good morning, beautiful, good morning, is that it does not all fit. Everything that you have gone through in your entire life does not fit into one manuscript, right? And what happens is because you don't have clarity, because you're not crystal clear on what it is that you're talking about, it's like all of everything of this ambiguity, these vague concepts, you're trying to put them all in here because this one thing reminds me of this other thing, and it ties into the story that happened when I was 6. And then I remember this one time my grandma said, and you're like, wait a minute. All of that does not have to go into your manuscript. It really does not. If you are intentional and you know exactly what you're writing about in every single chapter, then your writing should be clean, right? It should be clean. It should take us through the introduction to the concept. It should take us through the facts about it. It should take us through a story, the conclusion, and then what it is that you want us to do, right? It should be crystal clear. oftentimes folks, and this is what happens, and I love God, right? But this is what happens when you're getting those downloads all the time, especially people who are prayed up, who are well connected, right? And you're able to discern certain things that are going on. So you realize like, oh, that situation reminds me of a scripture I read, or, oh, this, this thing happened. And I know that this ties into something I'm writing about in my book. That's all fine and well, right? Keep getting those downloads. Keep getting connected to God. Stay connected to the source. I'm not negating that. What I am saying is that every download that you get from God does not belong in this one book. It doesn't. It doesn't. Journal them. Write them down. Put them down on a spreadsheet. They could be talks. They could be things, hey, trailblazers. They could be things that you then go on to use on the stage. Right? They could be things that you create workshops about. They can be so many other things, but everything that you get every single day does not have to go into your manuscript. It don't all fit. It does not all fit there. And by doing that, you are going to frustrate yourself because you're never going to be able to get to the end of the writing process, because there's going to be more stuff that's coming every day, more experiences that you're going to tap into every day, something else that's going to remind you of this every day. Oh my goodness, this was so good. Let me add this into my book. I read this book the other day. Let me add what I read into my book. I went to this event the other day and the speaker said this. Let me add this into my book. My cousin said this about her husband. Let me add this into my book. No, stop. It don't all fit. Everything is not supposed to go into your manuscript. Stick to your outline. Create a solid outline and do not deter from it. Here's where I want to focus on. I'm going to use these principles and these concepts. If something comes up, and I mean, it's good, like it's like golden good, and it takes place of a story that you may have, that you may want to work on in, let's say, chapter 5 or 6, then maybe, right? Then maybe you could do a switch. But don't get comfortable with switching all the time, because you're going to be exchanging information forever. It's going to be an endless cycle. You'll never get to the finish line, and your manuscript is going to be 452 pages of going around the mulberry bush trying to make one point. Make one point. Question is, how do we stop the overpacking? It's really about Good morning. It's really about being really intentional with what you want to focus on in that chapter. So knowing what it is that you want to say. What am I trying to say in this chapter? What is the major takeaway that I want my readers to have? In this chapter, I want them to understand, what it is to deal with loss, right? Or maybe a specific component of loss. Maybe I'm dealing with the emotional components of loss. So think about the fact that you don't have to have, at my screen froze. Think about the fact that if you're having a conversation with me about loss, you're not going to pull every single experience that's ever happened to you into this conversation with me that you're talking about. You're going to pick the one that's the most important, right? You're going to find that one story, that one point, that one thing that's like, if I tell Sheree this thing, she's not going to be able to miss that point. If I give her this specific example, then she's going to get it. I think that we often think that writing just gives you so much, like this massive space and this great amount of room for things, but writing is almost the exact opposite. It has to be really clean. It has to be concise if you want your readers to get the point. So to stop overpacking, think about the essentials, right? When I had to clean out my suitcase because I couldn't take 52 dresses, 76 pair of shoes, all the jewelry I owned, when I realized I couldn't take that, I had to thin it down to the essentials. Okay, now you might need to take, all right, you can't take 5 pair of black shoes, but take the heels and then take the flats, because you will need those, and then take a nude pair of shoes and then take some nude flats, because those are the essentials, right? Those, I don't need all 15 pair, but I do probably need like this 4, maybe 5, right? So I'm going to thin it down to as much as I possibly can get it, but I'm only taking the things that I know I'm going to need. These are the things that I'm going to need. I have to have these things. Everything else, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. And your writing is the same way. Thin it down to the things that are absolutely essential for your readers to know and to need. If this is the principle, if this is the goal, if this is the takeaway, give it to them. Give them that. This is what I need you to understand. Here's what happens in this story, in this scenario. Statistically, here's what's happening, to us as a culture. Here's the cultural norms that are going on. I need you to understand these things, because this is the result. If you don't understand these things, this is what's going to happen to you. And that's it. Like, by going into so much, I think we overcomplicate it. And I'm guilty of that. I am so guilty of that. I have a a brilliant friend. He masterminds, he does incredible stuff. And he's always like, sure, you're overthinking everything. You overthink everything. You just, your brain is like all the time. And I'm like, I know, because I'm a writer, right? So because in certain areas, I know that that's where I overthink things. When it comes to certain business components, I always step into him like, all right, help me thin this out. Because if you ask me, I'm going to dissect the whole concept 1,000 times. So I get help with that, right? Which is why editors help. Which is why somebody else can assist you in helping in making that thin. I've had a client before looking at her fiction piece, going through it, going, oh, you don't need this. This is the major point that you're going after. You can cut those two things, and here's the big takeaway at the end. All right, go from here to here. She was like, well, how did you know to cut that? It becomes like second nature, because I know if the goal is this, right? If the goal is for me to understand this thing about your character, if the goal is for me to understand this thing about my life, then everything that you're telling me should lead up to that. If there are things that are going on in between there that don't validate the point, or that take me way off the point somewhere, or have some, overarching meaning that's not really clear, then I can get rid of it. I can just cross out all of that and go right to, boom, here's the goal. Here's where I want you to go. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this. So, and it's tough, right? Doing that part is tough sometimes, because we have such, an affinity for our writing. Everything that we write, especially as new authors, it's like, it's golden. What do you mean? I spent my time on this. I put 5 hours into writing this chapter. How dare you say I have to cut it, right? So we have this like, oh my God, I don't want to get rid of any of my writing, but that's a part of writing. Revision, cutting, shaving things thin, that's a part of writing. Killing your darlings, right? You have to lose them at some point in time. So I say, don't hold on to everything like it's this precious treasure that you'll never write great words ever again. That's not the case. Right? If there's something really good, if you think that it's a good point, then again, you can keep it in a separate section for a talk, for a workshop, for a live, right? For a conversation that you can have, just like I'm having with you. If this is a point that you want to bring across to somebody, just save it for another opportunity. Share it on your social media. Put it up as an engaging post. Get people's feedback on it. You don't have to lose it, right? You just don't have to try to force it into your manuscript, because it don't all fit. It don't all fit. And then you have this big bulky manuscript that loses your reader, because they're trying to connect the dots and follow the way that your brain just went back and forth from all of this. Yeah, it doesn't quite work. Save it for the sequel. You can definitely save it for the sequel if it's fiction. If it's nonfiction, and you save it for another book. And often what I find is when people start adding things to the book, it's like they have this idea, and the idea takes them like just a little way off of the topic sometimes. So when I start asking questions about it, I'm like, okay, but now you're getting into a different principle, right? They're closely connected, but they're not the same thing. So you're getting into something a little different. So if that's a topic that you want to explore it in another book. Use it for something else, right? It doesn't have to, your book does not have to now take that whole shape because you had a brilliant idea last night. Or you had something that jumped up in your mind. And here's the thing, guys, with writing that creative energy, it replicates itself. So the more that you write, the more that your brain is going like, ooh, idea, connect the dots. The more it's going to keep doing that, right? And I don't know if it was Toni Morrison or Maya Angelou that said that once the faucet is turned on, it's going to continue to run. Once you turn it on, it's going to run. So once that happens for you, that's going to always happen for you. You're going to be in the middle of writing, and all of a sudden this idea is going to come from the back of your neck and be like, oh, add this to the book. But you're like, no, shut up. I'm going to add you to this note section, and be quiet for a second. Put you over here and you just rest easy until I finish what I set out to accomplish today. Or it could spark a whole different project. It could take you way off your square. Now you're writing about something else. So a lot of times when we are working with clients, even when people, you get a new book idea, absolutely. A lot of times when we're working with clients, even if they have a manuscript and we've done an edit for them, I will have them go back and still re-outline your manuscript. Go back through your entire manuscript and outline it for me, right? And then give me a synopsis of what it is that you're trying to say in every chapter. I want to see if you can clearly write down for me what you're trying to accomplish in every single chapter. Though you've already written the book, let me see what you think that is happening. Is it really happening in these places? And then I can go back and go, okay, this is not exactly what you're saying is not what you're doing, or what you want to do is not showing up in this chapter, because what you've actually done in this chapter is you've gone way this way. So let's cut some of this stuff out this chapter and make this chapter really specific in this direction, right? We're focusing on this part of goal setting. We're focusing on this part of healing, right? But in this chapter, you start talking about a goat and a hen and your great grandmom's farm. Why? Why are we over here? Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. So this happens to me musically. When many songs don't make it in the album, they get recycled into something fresher than the original idea. Absolutely. It doesn't have to go to waste, right? It does not have to go to waste. You can always save it, right? Put it somewhere else. Create a log, create a Google Drive, an Excel sheet, whatever. A Google Doc is what I mean. You can have it somewhere else when these ideas jump up. It's okay to catch them. Right? It's brilliant to catch the ideas because they will come consistently, but you do not have to stop what you're writing to try to follow that idea down the rabbit hole somewhere where it's going to take you. Just grab it. I got you, right? Just grab them one time, put you behind right here, sit down somewhere and come back and focus on that at another time, or else those ideas, those sparks of genius, they are going to take you off. And you're gonna be like, oh, Sheree, I got 7 tabs open. Right? I got 7 tabs open. I don't know, if I can't finish this one manuscript because I'm writing 6 different things. Stop letting your manuscript get away from you. Stop letting your manuscript get away from you. Be clear in what you want to accomplish in every single chapter. Work till you finish that point in that chapter and then move on to the next chapter. Aside from that, if you run off with every idea that's going to come your way, that's terrible. It's terrible. It's like a unfaithful partner, right? Everything that's pretty, like, ooh, like, or a kid, so, oh, I want that. Oh, I like that. You just grab it, sit it down somewhere, and finish working on what it is that you're working on. And realize that every beautiful idea that you have, it's not going to fit. It's not going to fit. And if you try to make it fit, guys, I promise you, I worked with a client for an extended period of time. We went back and forth, and we fought about some stuff on a project because he was just so brilliant, right? And everything that he would go, we would work for a couple of weeks. He would go out and do something and be the amazing person that he is, and come back and be like, Sheree, I had this amazing idea. I'm like, oh, Lord, we're about to have all this new content in chapter 6. Everything in chapter 6 is about to be rewritten because this new concept has come to him, and it ties in somewhat to what he was talking about, but it's a different spin on it. I'm like, this is not how this is going to happen. But here's the beautiful part about this, right? So this wonderful client friend of mine is also friends with Michael Eric Dyson, right? So I just love being a smart person. So my client is a friend with Michael Eric Dyson, right? So he's having this conversation with Michael Eric Dyson, and he says to him, yo, Mike, how is it that you get to write all these books all the time? How do you get to the finish line on every book project that you're working on? You've written dozens of books. How do you get it done, right? Michael Eric Dyson says to him, this is from Michael Eric Dyson to my client, I stick to my outline. I determine what I want to say. I'm clear and intentional with what I'm doing in the project, and I stick to my outline. And everything that comes up along the way, I save it for another book project. But I focus on what I'm working on my outline. And I said to my client, I said, well, what did you say to him? I said that my editor says the same thing. I said, oh, really? He said, yeah. He said, you're a smart woman. Thank you very much. From Michael Eric Dyson through my client to y'all, I'm trying to tell y'all, this is how you get this done. Focus on the outline. Be clear with what you want to say and realize that it's not going to all fit. And that's okay. It's okay. That's perfectly fine. Does not mean that you're not brilliant. Does not mean that you don't have amazing ideas and multi-million-dollar ideas. That's you good. They just not gonna all fit in one book. Relax and receive that today. Receive that today. That everything I think about, everything that comes into my mind, does not all have to fit into one book project. How do you think that these millionaires, like these people with multiple books, they keep doing it? Because they focus on one concept per book. They dissect that concept 100 different ways. They put it in this book, and boom, right? This is the position that I'm giving you. Then here's the next concept. Well, here is that concept from a different angle, right? I talked about Cashel Kelly not too long ago. She has a book, Boss Women Pray. Next book, Boss Men Pray. Boss Children Pray, right? That's it. It doesn't have to be hard. It's not rocket science, right? It's not difficult. You just got to learn how to control yourself and control that little creative muse that's kicking around in your head. That's like, oh, everything. Oh, I'm going to get everything. All of it fits into one book. No, you just snatch your little tail up, sit her down, and tell her be still for a minute while you finish working on this chapter, or you'll never get the chapter done. You'll never get the chapter done. Or you're going to write it. It's going to be confusing and crazy as all outside. You're going to send it to myself, an editor, anyone of any, worthy caliber, and they're going to tear it up. And then your feelings are going to be hurt. And you're going to be mad at me. Like, well, listen, what is the point of this chapter? What is the point of this chapter? What is the point of this paragraph? You start this paragraph talking about socks. Now we over here talking about toothpaste. What happened? How did we get here? I need to know what's happening. So, and I just think that people don't realize that writing takes that kind of control, right? That writing takes that kind of control. It is that kind of skill that you can't just let it go all on its own. It's not that kind of thing. And I guess people tell people this all the time, like, write from your heart, just let it flow, right? And I don't know if that always works if you are trying to write something to connect with other people. When you write from your heart and just let it flow, that's really self-expression. That's you just letting out yourself, your feelings, your emotions. It's not in any relation to anybody else. You're not considering anyone. You're not thinking about helping them. No one is on your mind when you're writing, like just opening up your heart and letting it flow. You're just sharing. You're just pouring out on the page. That's self-expression. But when you're writing and you want to put your message out there and you want to connect with other people, then you're communicating. And communicating means that you're going to exchange language with me that I understand, that I can relate to. Right? You're going to use symbols and terms that make sense to me. You're just not going to just pour it all out there because you just wanted to get your story out to the world. No, you have to think of these things, and writing takes that kind of intentionality. So understand that edits is not going to all fit. It just does not all fit in one manuscript. So stop trying to force the process or trying to force everything that you know into one book. Save it for the sequel. How many pages of what are acceptable? Writing is human. Editing is divine. Yes. Thank you very much. Yes. You can't skip that part. Writing has multiple phases, right? There's the brainstorming part of it. That's when you figure out what's going to go on the page. And then there's the actual writing part of it, right? That's the part that's kind of brutal. But then sometimes this can be brutal. Sometimes it can feel pretty good. But then the actual revision part, right? That revision part, that's a part of writing. Writing has those phases. To revise is writing and rewriting, is editing. It's all a part of the cycle. Confession versus communication. Absolutely. Are you just pouring it all out? And because people aren't, you have non-writers teaching people how to write is really what it is. You have people who don't write for a living. You have people who are not editors, who don't even read books, teaching people how to write. So you have someone who's written a book and they've had it, grossly edited. And because they've had success, they go, great, now I'm going to teach you how to write a book. And the first thing they say is just pour it out on the page because that's what they did. But they don't tell you that their editor ripped it in half, right? They don't tell you that editor asked them 162 questions about what did you mean here? What happened? They don't tell you that. So I think that people are just learning from the wrong folks. So this is why I have positioned myself to be able just to teach you, because I want you guys to write well. I want you to be educated. I want you to be knowledgeable. Having the knowledge, having the skill set is worth way more than if I were just to fix your manuscript or just to ghostwrite your manuscript for you. Now you know these things. Now these are things that you can put into action in your writing today, right? These are principles that you can take with you. Understand, this is knowledge, and I need you guys to be knowledgeable, right? And it's selfish reasons, because I just hate reading bad stuff. I hate reading bad stuff. I'm like, nobody taught y'all this? How come somebody didn't tell people this? Nobody knows. I'll teach them. I'm gonna teach them. So that's why I'm here. That's why I love you guys. That's right, Brandy. That's why I love you guys. Right. I thank you for all of the good stuff and the support. Good info on this live. Soaking up. I thank you so much. I appreciate it. Again, if you guys have any more questions, let me know. But understand that it's just not going to all fit into one book, and you don't have to get rid of it. You do not have to toss your brilliant ideas. You can put them in a safe place. Put them on a separate document. Date the document. Come back to it at another time. Start to flush out that manuscript. But once you finish with that other project, if you can't spread yourself too thin. You can't now start working on this manuscript and then that manuscript and then this manuscript at the same time. It's not going to work, right? And I love the analogy of swinging the axe, right? One of my brother's friends always talk about swing the axe. You just got to chip away at it every time, right? So, but if every day I come outside and I'm swinging my axe at the same tree, even if I hit 5 chops a day, like I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a day, right? Eventually, after some time, that tree is coming down, right? The tree is going to come down because I focus, I'm hitting this every single day. I'm swinging my axe at this tree every single day. Cool, right? But if I'm focused on multiple projects, and then every day I'm outside swinging my axe at 5 different projects, 1, 2, all right, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Or I can only got the strength to hit 1, 1, 1, 1. It's going to take me so much longer, and for anything to fall. For anything to fall, it's going to take me so much longer. And they may fall at the same time 7 years from now, right? Eventually, but you're going to get burnt out, as opposed to focusing on this one project, something that you can complete. And when that falls, you don't know what it's going to take down with it, or what doors, what the pathway that'll become available to you when that thing hits the ground. So open yourself up to understanding, to soaking in knowledge and knowing that you do not have to fit everything that you know into one single manuscript. It don't all fit. I know that sounds odd, right? But that's the reality of it is it don't all fit. Yeah, I'm glad. So go back, thin your message out, make sure that what you have in there makes sense. Write an outline, rewrite your outline, take a look at it. Is what I'm saying I'm going to do in each chapter effective? Does it all drive me towards the end goal? My goal in my book is to teach them how to overcome this particular thing. Is every chapter giving them a nugget? Is every chapter taking them to this, to this next level? Are the stories I'm sharing, are the examples that I'm sharing in each chapter the best examples that I can use? If they're not, what are? What else can I add in here? Or what do I need to replace those things with? Do that kind of work and make sure that that's the pre-work that has to happen in the beginning. And often people just forget that, or they don't know that. They go right into just writing, just freestyle. I'm just going to wing it. I never wrote nothing in my whole life, and I'm just going to wing it. If you was a pilot and that's what happened, that was your job, everybody's going to die. Everybody's going to die. You don't have this skill set. You get up on a plane and you're just going to wing it. We're all dying. That's what's going to happen. And that's the reality of it. You got to practice the skill. There are things that you have to learn before you take off. It's as simple as that. So do the work necessary, learn the things you need to learn, put these things into practice, create a solid outline, get to work, and anything that does not fit into your manuscript, save it for somewhere else. Move it off to the side, put it somewhere, and revisit it another time, but don't let it slow you down. Like gaper delay. Those people that's always looking at something when they're trying to drive, maybe slow up all of the highway because you all in somebody else's business. No, thank goodness for the safety patrol that get those accidents out the way so everything else can continue to move smoothly. Move them out the way, keep flowing. Okay? Hope this makes sense for you guys. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning. Hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Make sure that you do shout out where you're from, hit those likes and those shares. And if you ever have messages or questions that you have, you can always message me right here on Facebook and on Instagram. And I love you guys. Have an awesome day. This is Sheree Robin. I'll check you all out again soon. Happy Monday, folks.